we should record this. 10 to the second power equals this whole thing. Now, I'm just going to distribute that right away. I mean, you could rewrite it. I'm going to distribute this so that it's x squared minus 21x, okay? At this point, there's no like x's you can get rid of or anything like that. We're just going to subtract the 100 here and move it over to here. So you have 0 equals x squared minus 21x minus 100. What do you do with that? The star method. Yeah, you're going to factor it. So when we do that, it's what can we multiply to get a negative 100 that we could add to get a negative 21. This is a 1, right? That's this number right here. So this is going to be a negative 25 and a positive 4. That will get us that. So it's x minus 25 and x plus 4. What are your solutions just from this? So this is set equal to 0 still, right? What are your two values that you get from these factors? 25 and negative 4, right? But here's the deal. If you go back up here, can you take the log of a negative number? You can't, okay? So if we plugged that in, it wouldn't work. So this is actually an extraneous solution. So your answer is just x equals 25, okay? Questions on that? Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong one. If we plug it in here, wrong problem. Yeah, Jada. 10 squared. So this is a base 10, right? If it's just log, that's log base 10. So we do, remember exponential form, you go this to this power equals that. So like if I said, let me just write it a different way. If I said log x equals 4, and I said put that in exponential form, that would be 10 to the 4th power equals that number, right? So that's what I did. I took the 10 to the 2nd power, and then I set it equal to this. I just distributed that right away. So I called it x squared minus 21. This wasn't here yet. If there's no base written in, it's a base 10. Yep. Good on that? Okay, 13. This one's subtraction. What do you do with subtraction? Division. So this is going to be the log of 4x divided by 5 is equal to 3. What do you do next? What's your base? What? Who's talking to me right now? Matthew, what do you do?
I put 10 cubed.
10 cubed, yes. I thought you were saying 23. 10 cubed. Sorry, my computer is like humming at me right now, so I don't hear you very well. 10 to the 3rd power, 10 cubed equals 4x over 5, right? So this is 1,000 equals 4x over 5. You can either just multiply by 5/4 right now, or you could break it into 2 steps if you like that better. Multiply by 5 to get the 5 out of there. So 5,000 equals 4x, and then divide by 4. It doesn't matter which way you do it. Your calculator will do it for you if you want to do it all as one step. But you get 1,250 for that. Seriously, humming. Good on that? Okay. Was there anything else you want to do from chapter 7 before we move on to chapter 8? It's going to be a quick day, you guys. Yeah, Jada. Number 5 from chapter 7. Okay, so it just says evaluate the log. These are the ones where you say, okay, well, if I want to know what this equals, It's 4 to what power is equal to 8? Thank you, Tori. Which is not a nice number, right? 4 squared, if I put a 1 in there, 4 to the first is 4. If I put a 2 in there, 4 squared is 16. Not a nice number. So you have to think, okay, how could I break the 4 down first and then make it a different number? Well, if I take the square root of 4, that would be 4 to the 1/2 power. What is the square root of 4? Just 2, right? If you take the square root of 4, what times itself is going to get you that? So you get a 2, but we're trying to get to 8. We're saying that to what power equals 8? So 2 to the 3rd power will get us 8. That means you take this 1/2 and this 3 and multiply them. So it's going to be the 3/2 power. And our answer is always the power with those. So that would be 3/2. Do you guys remember how to plug logs into your calculator? If you hit math and go all the way down, it's actually letter A. So below the 0, it'll say log base. And you can put in a 4 and an 8 and hit enter, and it will give you 1.5. And you just need to turn that into a fraction. So math fraction is 3/2. So you can actually do that one solely in your calculator if you want. What? I have all the time in the world. It's fine. Other people have the same question. They just don't ask it. Don't be bashful. So does it make sense you're asking yourself this question? 4 to what power will equal 8? So because a whole number doesn't work out, right? If I put in a 1, it's too low. If I put in a 2, it's too high. So it's somewhere between 1 and 2 is our answer, right? So you have to take that number, that 4, that base, and say, what could I do to a 4 to bring it down lower so that I can then bring it up higher again, since it doesn't work just to square it right now, right? The only thing you can do to a 4 that gives you a whole number is square root it. You can't cube root it. You can't fourth root, so if we square root it, that's like saying 4, remember the 1/2 power is always a square root, right? So it's saying 4 to the 1/2 power. So I know that's part of it. We want to take it to the 1/2 power. When we do that, we get a 2. Now I can say, okay, I want to get to 8. How do I get from 2 to 8? Well, 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8. So that's 2 to the 3rd power, right? So if I take the 1/2 power and the 3rd power and combine them, you just multiply those together. 1/2 times 3 is 3/2. So we would say 4 to the 3/2 power is 8. The other thing you can do with that is if you aren't sure, you can type in 4 and then the little caret button and then 3 divided by 2 as your power. If you don't get an 8 out of that, it's not the right answer, right? But seriously, you guys, you could use your calculator for the whole test. Math, and then go all the way down to the bottom, log, base, whatever. You can plug it in for all I care. Anything else from chapter 7? All right, chapter 8. Number 7 here. So these ones, it just says simplify, state restrictions if there are restrictions. What can X not be on this problem? Oh, I didn't state the Y, huh? What are you not allowed to divide by? 0, right? You can't divide by 0. So X can't be 0 and Y can't be 0, because if I plug in a 0 here or here, I'm dividing by 0, okay? Who asked this question? Do you want me to like multiply across and then simplify, or do you want me to like cross simplify and then multiply first? Okay, so if we multiply across, you get 40 x y to the 4th. What's 5 times 24 is 120. And then you have x to the third y. Okay, so you can do that, or you can just start reducing things as is. When you do this, then you break it down piece by piece. So 40 over 120 is 1 over 3. X over x to the third, what is that going to be? It's x to the second. Where does it go? Top or bottom? On the bottom, right? With the bigger one. So if you subtracted it, 1 minus 3 is a negative 2, so it'd be an x to the negative second on top, which is just x to the second on bottom. And then what's on top because of this? Y to the third. Subtract that. So really, it's just y to the third over 3x squared. I don't care if you leave the 1. I won't take off for that, but that would be your answer. Okay. Number 9. Okay, now we're adding. When you add, you need what? A what? Denominator, right? Common denominator. Okay, so if we're going to find a common denominator here, and we have y minus 1 and we have y minus 2, what's our common denominator? Yeah, we're going to just multiply those two, right? That's our common denominator, okay? What you have to do then is figure out how to get that common denominator. So this side, we multiply by y plus 2 and minus. Y minus 2 over y minus 2. Why do we multiply by a expression over itself? Do you know? Because it's 1. If you multiply by 1, you can plug any numbers you want in because it doesn't change the value, right? So we're just multiplying by 1. This one, y minus 1 over y minus 1. Okay. So up top here, you have y times y minus 2. Does anyone mind? Can I just distribute that right now? Is that okay? I'm gonna do this. So it's gonna be y squared minus 2y. Okay, my common denominator is going to be y minus 1 times y minus 2. And then we're going to add to it, so that's this addition, y squared minus y. Okay, now you can simplify that. Y squared plus y squared is 2y squared. And then negative 2y minus y is a negative 3y. And that's over y minus 1 times y minus 2. That's as far as you can go with it. What are your restrictions? Y cannot be 1 or 2. It could be 0, actually, because if you plug in a 0, you'd get a negative 1 or a negative 2. But you cannot do a positive 1, or a positive 2. This can't equal 0, and that can't equal 0, or these. Okay, questions on that? Is that a hand up? Ashley?
For the restrictions, basically just like for the answers and the y, you basically can't put like the opposite of what it is.
If it's an expression, if it's a binomial, yes, it can't be the opposite. It's just whatever would make it equal to 0, right? So basically we're saying y minus 1 can't equal 0. So if I add 1 to that, that would be y equals 1, right? Y minus 2 can't equal 0. So if I add 2 to that, then y would equal 2. So those are your restrictions, right? When you set it equal to 0, what number do you get? Yeah. So if there was like a y out in front here, you'd also have to put a 0 in, because if this equals 0 and we multiply it by something, it's going to make everything 0, right? You're saying from right here, how did I get to here? So it was y squared plus y squared. So that's 1y squared plus 1y squared. So you get 2y squared, right? That's this one. And then this is negative 2y minus y. So negative 2y minus 1y is a negative 3y. So that's minus 3y.
And then at the bottom, you don't really know.
I mean, you could, but it more just creates a bunch of chaos and more room for error. I would just leave it as the binomials there. Yeah. Okay, number 10. Now we're subtracting. These ones are a little trickier because it's a little easier to make the mistakes with subtraction. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna factor this. And you're gonna factor this. Do you remember how you factor a difference of squares? X plus and x minus, and you square root both, right? So x plus 4, x minus 4 for that one. This one, if you star it, so what can you multiply to get negative 8 that you can add to get negative 2? That would be a negative 4 and a positive 2. So x minus 4, x plus 2. Okay, so those are our denominators as we see them. What's our common denominator then? Both have an x minus 4, right? This left side needs an x plus 4. So we're going to go x plus 4 over x plus 4. What does the right side need? X plus 2. So we're going to go x plus 2 over x plus 2. So essentially we're ignoring this. This is our new setup. So up top here, we're going to distribute this, right? Multiply all of that. So you get x squared minus 4x plus 4x. So that's going to go away. Minus 16. Okay. I'm just going to set it up as one big numerator right now. So this is the left side. This is all this. Minus, now the right side. If you distribute that, okay, again, it's a difference of squares setup, right? X squared, x squared plus 2x minus 2x minus 4 is the setup there. And it's over x minus 4 times x plus 4 times x plus 2. What are your restrictions here? Yeah, 4, and negative 2 can't happen, right? But now simplify this. This is 0. This is 0. So it's x squared minus x squared. That goes away, right? That would be 0. And then it's negative 16 minus a negative 4. So negative 16 plus 4 is going to be a negative 12. And it's over x minus 4, x plus 4, x plus 2. Coming back? Jada. Go up.
Yeah. So for the next one, you did that first. And then
For this x squared minus 16 or this? The first one? This?
Yeah.
Um,
The second one. I'm just going to use the when you do
so I took this x plus 4 times x minus 4. Do you see where I'm at right here? That top setup, right? Because I had to multiply by x plus 4. Then I distributed x times x minus 4x plus 4x minus 16. Right, so I did FOIL. I just FOILed that. Do you see that? That's what this was. Right? And then once you do that, you have a negative 4x and a positive 4x, which is just 0. So you end up with x squared. So if you wanted to rewrite it, essentially you're solving x squared minus 16 minus, and then over here, x squared minus 4. But because we have the parentheses, you have to subtract this and you have to subtract that. So x squared minus x squared goes away. Negative 16 minus a negative 4 is negative 16 plus 4. So all you're left with there is 12. That makes sense? Okay. Number 12. This one's a bit of a doozy, right? There's lots of stuff going on here. So now you have this equation. When you're setting them equal like this, you still need to have a common denominator just to be able to combine, to add, subtract, all of that. You need to be able to have a common denominator. So your common denominator would be x plus 2 times x minus 2. So we're going to multiply this side times x plus 2 over x plus 2. We're going to multiply this one by x minus 2 times x minus 2. And this one by x plus 2 over x plus 2. Okay. So now essentially what you're looking at is, I'm going to FOIL right off the bat. Is that okay? Can I do that? So I'm going to go first. So x squared minus 4x plus 2x minus 8. Okay, so that's my left side over x plus 2 times x minus 2 equals, now here, if I FOIL this, x squared minus 2x minus 2x plus 4, right? That over x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay, and then we're adding to it. If you FOIL the 1, it's just x plus 2 over x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay, now here's the deal. It's saying this over x plus 2 times x minus 2 equals this plus this. Well, your numerators have to be equal once all is said and done, right? So you can actually totally ditch these right now because we're essentially just trying to set our numerators equal to each other because our denominators are the same, right? So I'm going to take this one, x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals, now combine this, x squared, this is minus 4x plus x, so minus 3x when I combine those two. And then 4 plus 2 is plus 6. And now it's just solve for x. So from here, I can go take away the x squared, and these go away. I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So this is x minus 8 equals 6. Add 8, and you get x equals 14, if I did it correctly. I did. And that's your answer, right? You're just solving for what is x here. It's a fun one, huh? You look enthralled. Questions on that? All right. I think that was all the questions.
Can you do 11?
Yes. Okay, so this one, if we're solving for x here, we want to get this guy out of there, right? Move him over. The goal is when you're solving for x, try to isolate x. Get it by itself. So if I take away 9/28, then take away 9/28. If I were you, I would plug that into your calculator. 3/4 minus 9/28. And then just turn it into a fraction. Math 1 will turn that back into a fraction. So 3/7 is what you get. 3 over x plus 2 equals 3 over 7. Here's the deal. You have options. Your numerators are the same. So 3 over something has to equal 3 over 7. That means your denominators have to be equal right now. So you could just do x plus 2 equals 7 and solve it, and you get x equals 5. Or you could cross multiply, right? So 3 times 7 is 21. This would be 3x plus 6 when you distribute. Take away the 6, divide by 3, you still get 5. So that's up to you. It kind of depends what you see. If you see it as, oh, I have the same numerator, so I have to have the same denominator, take the easy route. Yes. Okay, number 2, it says z is 6 when x is 4 and y is 3. And then it says z varies directly. Remember we said z varies is equals k. Okay, directly means what? Multiplication or division? If it varies directly. Multiplication. So directly with y would be times y. What's inversely? That's division. Inversely with x, okay? So that's your setup, and then you have these numbers. Z is 6, x is 4, so 4 is going to be on bottom. K is what we're going to solve for, and then y is up top, right here. From here, it's up to you how you want to solve it. You can multiply by the reciprocal, so you could multiply by 4/3 on both sides, or if you prefer to break it down, you could just multiply by 4. So you get, I'm going to come over here, 24 equals 3k, and then divide by 3. So k is 8. And then once you know what k is, your answer plugs it in right here. So it would be z equals 8 times y over x, and that would be your equation. Okay. Anything else? Jointly would be multiplication, yeah. Yep. You'll multiply a couple things then. Good? Okay, tonight, this was chapter 10. Chapter 10 was not awesome for a lot of you. Take your time on it. If you don't know what you're doing, ask. You have a half hour. You have more than a half hour right now. You have 35 minutes right now to work on this. So if there's things you know you struggled with on chapter 10, maybe start there. There is no chapter 12, but I have your chapter 12 test. Do you want to see your tests? You want to see your chapter 10 tests? I still never actually handed those back. I let some of you see them, but we never went back over them.